Police not looking for anyone over death of nightclub owner Darren Thornburgh. Police have ruled out foul play in the death of prominent Melbourne nightclub owner Darren Thornburgh. Mr. Thornburgh, 54, was found dead in his country home in the small town of Barmah on the Victoria and NSW on Monday afternoon. Drive-by shootings at Mr. Thornburgh's nightclub and his former wife's home last year raised suspicions, but Inspector Joy Arbuthnot said on Tuesday police would investigate his very troubled background but were not treating the death as suspicious. "I can't tell you that we are not looking, at this stage, for any other person in relation to this death," she said. "What I can tell you is that there are further inquiries being conducted into the circumstances of the death, and what I can also say to the community here at Barmah is that we are aware that this has an impact on you. We ask you to call the police on 000 if you have any concerns, Crime Stoppers if you have any further information, and also Beyond Blue if you have any personal issues that you need to address." The inspector said the weapon had been found at the scene. Police were called to the Evans Street address about 4:30 p.m. on Monday, where they reportedly found the dead man on a mattress on the front porch. The nightclub operator had the freehold ownership of the Barmah Hotel. The hotel refused to comment. Mr. Thornburgh owned high-profile nightclub Boutique in Prahran in Melbourne's inner southeast, but the Greville Street night spot was shut down 2 weeks ago following a dispute with the landlord. Last year shots were fired into Boutique nightclub when a man armed with a shotgun got out of a car that had pulled up outside the Prahran nightclub and blasted at least 3 shots into the front of the building. Days later, Mr. Thornburgh's former wife and her teenage daughter were left shaken after shotgun fire peppered their luxury Port Melbourne house in a drive-by shooting. Denise Thornburgh and her teenage daughter were asleep inside the upmarket, cream-colored home on Beacon Vista when shots were fired at their home. Tributes have begun to flow for Mr. Thornburgh from shocked friends and family, with many recalling his sense of style and humor as well as his devotion to his 2 daughters. Los Angeles-based Australian actor Kate Nielsen remembered Mr. Thornburgh as a best friend and partner in crime. "He had one of the funniest senses of humor out of anyone I have ever met," she said. The Australian actor said she had known Razzle for 15 years since moving from Hobart to work in his nightclub, Boutique, when she was 21. "He was my boss but ended up being a friend," Ms. Nielsen said. She said in its heyday, Boutique was the city's most exclusive nightclub. But, throughout, she said Mr. Thornburgh remained a doting father. "His devotion to his 2 daughters was unbelievable," she said. "It breaks my heart thinking what they must be going through right now." Several other former nightclub staff remembered him as a generous and kind man who was well liked and respected. Christina Ozarek, who now runs a craft beer consultancy in Calgary, Canada, joked that at times Mr. Thornburgh ran his club like a tyrant. "But his staff always respected him," she said. "He produced a nationally and internationally known club in the heart of our city that is still alive and will always be remembered by us old guys as a home and favorite place," she said. Travel agency owner Peter Calla said he knew Mr. Thornburgh for 3 decades through the nightclub scene. "I knew him from the mid-80s, Mr. Calla said. "He was an extrovert, easygoing, a great character. That's what it takes to become a promoter. He wore loud shirts. He was a gentleman. He liked the lifestyle." Barmah Caravan Park manager June Jenkins said she was shocked to learn her neighbor had been killed. "Nothing like it had ever happened in the town before," she said. "We're a pretty close-knit community." Ms. Jenkins said Mr. Thornburgh visited his holiday home directly across the street from the caravan park every few months. Although she rarely interacted with him, Ms. Jenkins said she always knew when he was there because the nightclub owner loved to play loud music. "I presumed he was here on Wednesday because I could hear music," she said. "Thump, thump, thump, whatever that kind of music." Island he was very full of energy, very vibrant, almost eccentric. Janine Pike runs another caravan park in Barmah as well as the post office, newsagency and general store. She said Mr. Thornburgh had been in town for an unusually long period of time. He'd been up for the last 6 weeks, she said. He usually just popped in on weekends or what have you. Ms. Pike said the Melbourne nightclub owner liked to throw his money around. He had all his toys up here: jet skis, a big bus, boat, golf buggies, she said. He had the money and he liked the lifestyle. Mr. Thornburgh also owned 4 properties in Barmouth. Court documents revealed he had not paid property rates to the Moira Shire for several years, and it is believed Mr. Thornburgh had other serious debts. Mr. Thornburgh began his career as a doorman at the now-defunct Chevron Hotel on St Kilda Road. He had been a part owner in some of Melbourne's biggest nightclubs before founding Boutique more than a decade ago. Over the years he had shares in Chasers nightclub and Warehouse nightclub in South Yarra, the Chevron, the Imperial in Chapel Street, and the Old Heat nightclub in Crown Casino. He also owned property in Prahran, a building in the CBD, and a warehouse in South Melbourne. If you're troubled by the contents of this report, you can contact Lifeline 131114 lifeline.org.au, Beyond Blue 1300 224 beyondblue.org.au, Suicidal in 1300 651 251 or Men's Line 1300 789 978.